You know, Rogan said something interesting. He was talking about last night we were together, and he was talking about some people that tend to get a little bit, they blame other people for their failings, or they get critical, or they get bitter. You did this. Like, what are you doing, man? No, I didn't have anything to do with your not being a superstar. You did. It's like, when was the last time you took responsibility for where you're at, man?
If we were smart, we would have done Patreon 10 years ago. You can regulate, so, you know, because a lot of the Reddits and the YouTube, it's super toxic. You can get rid of all that. So you have hardcore fans like, oh, thank God I can finally comment again and not get destroyed or get made fun of.
That's cool.
That's why I would do it.
At this point, I'm convinced that Bryan Callen is low-key trolling Brendan. In basically every episode of The Fighter and the Kid these days, Bryan brings up a major criticism of your boy and masks it off as a random thought he had or some conversation he was having with somebody else. We saw just a couple of weeks ago how he brought up the shorter life expectancy of athletes and had Chin pull up all the sports that Brendan's attempted over the years just to show everyone how the leading cause of death is heart disease from steroid and PED abuse, and of course we can't forget the sad reality of CTE and TBIs in football and MMA. Brendan was sitting there biting his nails, squinting as he read off the screen about how his days are numbered. But over the last few episodes, for some reason, Bryan's been grilling Chin about his alcohol abuse and all the various health issues that he's been dealing with as a result. Naturally, Bryan has this special way of bringing it up. He has the subtlety of a poet and the precision of a marksman.
So Chin's going to die. And here's the thing.
We're all going to die.
Take your pulse right now.
Ironically, Bryan's probably the healthiest person in that storage unit, and so in keeping with the theme of bullying his producer over his poor lifestyle choices and bad health, Brendan casually brought up his drinking issues because, you know, it's edgy to air your employees' dirty laundry on a podcast just for a laugh. But things quickly turned on Brendan after Bryan dished out a piece of advice that seemingly applied more to Brendan than it did to Chin. This was another one of those moments where Bryan Callen directed his wise cautionary tale at Chin when he was really speaking to his boy Bubba. Just quickly though, if you haven't already, check out my new channel More Cringe, which I just launched yesterday, where I plan to cover cringe from all over the internet, not just on podcasts. Shout out to all of you who have already subscribed and helped to get it off the ground. You guys are the best. All right, Chin, roll the tape.
What are you going to do for the fights, Chin? Watch by yourself drink? Nailed it, didn't I?
Brandon, so many people messaged me after that episode, by the way.
What'd they say?
A lot of them had my side. They're just like, you just do your thing.
Yeah, they want you to
do
die,
your thing,
Chin.
bro. Do your thing.
No, and then
anyone that says do your thing.
The one thing about the internet is you can count on them.
Yeah,
I appreciate their support. And then also some people said like, yeah, dude, we love you. You know, go to this rehab center in this area.
Yeah, people that care about you or people that actually are in for your best interests.
And we care about you.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to help
them. The main
them.
thing is that
anyone that says, dude, you're fine, keep doing this, is not your friend.
I think Brendan and I have been around long enough. And
I know how it ends.
We've had our own issues.
Yeah.
And so I think what happens when you get some age on you is you realize that there's a limit to what you can say and do for anybody. And we all have to be our own source of change. You know, Rogan said something interesting. He was talking about last night we were together, and he was talking about some people that tend to get a little bit, they blame other people for their failings, or they get critical, or they get bitter. And he said, you're where you are because of you. You did this. Don't blame that. Don't then turn and look at successful people and go, oh, those guys are assholes. Like, what are you doing, man? No, I didn't have anything to do with your not being a superstar. You did. Mm-hmm. So why are you turning to people that have been a little bit more successful and criticizing them? And it's exactly right. It's like, when was the last time you took responsibility for where you're at, man? You know?
Yeah.
And that's an important thing to say. So
and you're talking about some old salty comic.
Yeah, sure.
I know
maybe.
exactly what you're talking about.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I don't blame anyone for anything. I'm just like,
no, I know you don't. I'm just saying, I'm saying, and I appreciate that with you, but I'm saying that, you know, we're all responsible for the condition we're in one way or another. There's like, yeah, things happen in life, but you know, what are you going to do to get the out of it? And yeah, but there's some salty people out there in our community, and they spend a lot of time kind of like criticizing people that have been
just
more
unhappy.
successful. And it's
They're
like,
just
hey, bro.
unhappy. That's all they are.
Yeah.
They're lashing out.
Or maybe that attitude is the reason you are where you are,
100%.
or you're not happy. Like,
What do you got, Chin?
I seriously could not watch that clip with a straight face. I was literally cringing the whole time as Brian spelled out Brendan's entire career right in front of him. Nobody is saltier and more bitter than Brendan Schaub. His whole downfall started in the first place because he tried to be someone he wasn't, thanks to his North Star Joe Rogan, who I'll get to in a moment. Don't think I missed that bit. This Mark Maron beef is out of control. But the sheer irony and hypocrisy coming from both Brian and Brendan when it comes to lecturing Chin on taking responsibility for his actions and taking steps to improve his life when they're both sitting in armchairs in some random storage unit in Austin, Texas, making podcasts to entertain their haters and a bunch of bots. Like, imagine being in a meeting at work and your boss randomly brings up that you're an alcoholic with health issues in a meeting about the stationery budget. Brendan has to be one of the biggest hypocrites I've ever seen in my life. Stick around because in a moment I'll pull up a clip of Brendan choking up with tears while blaming everyone else for Brian's problems. He does almost exactly what Joe Rogan was describing through Brian right there in that clip. But like I said, let's quickly switch gears for a minute because when Brian was recalling that conversation he had with Rogan the night before, Brendan blurted out that he was talking about an old salty comedian. And we all know he's talking about Mark Maron. The Rogan beef with Mark is crazy because it all started with Rogan being a little gossip queen and completely making up his own narrative. I know, right? That's completely out of character for a tall and funny comedian like Joe Rogan. When has he ever done that before?
Like Rogan texted me the other day. Some guy was talking shit about me on a podcast, and Rogan texted to me. He goes, "Yo, he's not your boy." And I was like,
he pays attention to that stuff.
Joe's hyper aware of weird concentric circles. Like
Bad
he doesn't care about him. He doesn't care about like
He's looking
people
out for
talking
you.
shit. He cares about his boys and like, just giving you a heads up. This guy talked. He sent it to me, and I was like, that guy. And the guy, I'm friends with the guy. I've had him on my podcast 2 times.
Well, it wasn't about a real thing. Like I was on an Instagram Live, just doing a thing, and I was rambling on, like I do, and I was talking about Netflix, and basically what I said was that Netflix has created this cash grab culture where a certain echelon of comics can just do, pop-up shows shit-faced and make millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And I wasn't talking about Bert.
Right.
Do you know who I was talking about?
Andrew.
No.
Who?
Chappelle. So I was talking,
Dave Chappelle. Yeah.
and it's not an unknown thing.
Yeah.
He does a
It
pop-up
was unknown
show.
to me, but
Yeah. But I decided just to be diplomatic and not mention names. And then somebody on Instagram was like, talking about Kreischer.
oh, that's how it started.
And then like I'm scrolling and I see him on a podcast saying like, there's this guy who we were friends. If he's been on my show,
I saw that.
I've been on his show.
Yeah.
And like he said some shit. And Rogan got in my ear and said he's not your boy and all this, and his name rhymes with, and I'm like, oh my God.
So Joe, don't read the comments. Rogan created a beef with Mark Maron and Bert Kreischer for absolutely no reason at all. On a side note, I couldn't help but imagine what Dave Chappelle's reaction would have been if Rogan called him up to let him know that Mark had been talking shit about him. He'd probably be like, Mark who? Like the time Joe was explaining to Chappelle how Andrew Schultz is a comedy genius for doing his little skits in the pandemic, and Chappelle didn't have a clue who the fuck he was talking about. And so clearly, according to Brian Callen, Rogan hasn't been following his own rules about ignoring the haters and not giving them any attention, because it looks like Mark Maron's recent publicity tour for his comedy special has been keeping Joe up at night. It's so funny to me how Rogan falls for this time and time again. Remember how last year Cat Williams caused a stir by calling out Rogan on Shannon Sharp's podcast, which led Rogan to cave and invite Cat onto his podcast, which in turn gave Cat so much publicity that his comedy special went straight to the top on Netflix a month later. Now everyone's talking about Mark Maron talking shit about Rogan, and what do you know, Mark's also got a comedy special out. The whole business model of going on JRE to promote your special has been flipped on its shiny bald head. Now comedians are just calling him out for the same effect. Now that's genius. Maybe Schultz should try that instead. This is turning into the UFC, except there's no fight and they're just comedians. But I promised you earlier I'd show you a clip of Brendan doing exactly what Brian was describing earlier, how Rogan was saying he's sick of these comedians blaming everyone else for not being as successful as the top 250 are. And what do you know? Brendan was actually talking about Brian.
I'll get emotional here. It drives me, if we're being honest, leave this, Chin. Don't edit this out. I'm speaking from my heart. I know you're not going to like this. I'm going to look right. It drives me nuts that Brian's at where he's at. I will challenge anyone, any comic, to go on stage after Callan. I challenge any of those comics. I don't give a if it's the Comedy Store, where Zanies, wherever they're at, and you're telling me Brian's not better than 99% of those comics. It drives me nuts that he's not up there with those guys. He's better than 99% of them. And you want to outcast him over some bullshit? That's what I don't with. That's what upsets me. So what makes me proud and not mad, I'm trying to get mad, what makes me proud is he's not going to lash out about it. Brian's cool. Brian goes to work. Brian's doing the road. Brian's trying to sell tickets. But I'll tell you right now, I don't forget. That shit's not cool with me. That's why you don't see me at those fucking places. Sorry, dude.
Come on. Thank you.
What else you done?
I don't think she could read right now.
1,000th episode.
Yeah. So
No, do you guys miss Brendan's side piece schnoz? Yeah, me either. I actually have some solid advice for your boy Bupper though. You see, the thing is, B, you can't keep blaming everyone else for Brian's actions. At some point, he's got to take responsibility for where he is. You know, sitting next to a washed up UFC power bottom with shit for brains. That's on him, bro. You can't keep blaming everyone else for the allegations that brought his comedy career crashing down. By the way, I thought the reason why you don't go to those comedy clubs anymore was because you retired to be with your family.
Yeah, back in studio, had a health scare with the baby girl. If you guys saw my social media, she went in for emergency surgery. She has trouble breathing, and she's been in and out of the hospital, like I explained on my Instagram post. I had to cancel Austin and Nashville. And usually I hate doing that stuff. It happens. But, I think this time I just don't care. That's where I'm at. I gotta be home more. I'm gonna pull back from touring so much, and I just gotta be home, man. I can't miss Tigers games. Can't miss my Bosty growing up, baby girl. I can't do it anymore. I'm tired, man. I'm tired. I've been hustling for over 12 years now. Not that I'm gonna stop doing the pods, but as far as the plane life and stuff like that, I gotta chill out. I can do spots in LA, I can do local, SoCal, NorCal, but going international or going across the United States ain't happening right now. So I'm gonna take a break from that and just focus on family and do my thing, man. Do my thing. So yeah, let's get into it. Enough of that. You
need to get your story straight, B. You're going round in circles. First it was family, then it was too many soy boy comedians talking shit about you, then it was because Rogan left LA and you couldn't get any stage time. What are we doing here, B? But the haters have well and truly broken Brendan Schaub, and at this point it's more pathetic than it is sad. The amount of absolute dog shit this man has spoken into a microphone, and then changed his story to make it worse, and then lashed out at people for things that he was entirely responsible for, is out of control. And instead of following Rogan's advice to take responsibility for his own actions and improve himself, his solution is to start a Patreon to get away from all the haters. You seriously cannot make this stuff up anymore.
Dude, I can't wait for the day when we don't have any reads and we can just podcast. I don't know if that day's ever coming, but if it did, that would be f***ing awesome.
We would just do podcasts. We don't have to worry about reads.
If we were smart, we would have done Patreon 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so then eventually that gets built up enough where you're making the same money you are off
don't have
ads.
to worry
And it's
about
just
that.
all free for the actual
We
fans.
are going to do it. We're flirting with the idea of doing Patreon, aren't we?
I'd be down for it. We we've never really done. I'd be down for it because we've been around so long. Are we as big as we were 10 years ago? No. But the one thing we have is hardcore fans.
Yeah.
So it'd be for them.
Yes.
That's the reason I would do it.
Yep.
And you can regulate. So, because a lot of the Reddits and the YouTube, it's super toxic. You can get rid of all that. So you have hardcore fans like, oh, thank God I can finally comment again and not get destroyed.
Yeah.
Or get made fun of.
That's cool.
That's why I would do it.
I like that.
You'd have to give them incentives on after 12 years of a free show, why they're paying whatever it is, $3. You'd have to add content to it. You can't just do the same show.
Right.
Where they're like, dude, we got it free for 10 years. But if you gave some like behind the scenes, you do some live shows, you give extra episodes, you do longer episodes just for the Patreon, like you give them a reason to subscribe to it, that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm down.
Are you though? That's my biggest fear. Are you?
What do you mean?
You down
Why wouldn't I
to
be?
commit to it? Because it's going to be a beast. It's more work than we do
Let's
now.
go, bro.
All right. All
What do I
right.
look like?
Well,
Afraid?
what do you think, Chin?
I'm down as long as it gives. We'll still put out free content, right? But then just adding to it like extra stuff for the hardcores, which have been supportive since.
Yeah, extra
Forever.
episodes, longer episodes, Q&As
And
just
bonus
on
stuff.
there.
Yeah,
And the goal would be eventually get a point where we don't have to do any reads and we're just doing it.
and they can just enjoy the content without having. That's the biggest thing too. Which
Also, we don't have to pull punches.
just say,
Oh, you can play music on there, videos. Like
Really?
Chin doesn't have to edit the video. No.
Oh my gosh,
It's the
great.
it's the Wild West on there.
Really? That'd be really
just being completely raw. I mean, you guys are pretty raw as is, but every now and then we'll have to do something because
It's on me. I'll say a few outlandish things and Chin has to edit it out.
not just that, but just saying names of people that you don't want to put them out there. That kind of stuff.
Give me something else.
Oh, you mean current event?
Yeah.
All right. Have you guys heard this story?
This is wild. I love my serial killers.
That is classic Bappa right there. The real reason I'm starting a Patreon is for the hardcore fans. It's for them. But also, it's so I can hide from all the toxic haters on YouTube and Reddit. Let's get real for a second here. The real reason why Brendan's never started a Patreon is because without ad reads, there's no reason to have a paid subscription because who's going to pay for all the bots? I'm being serious. Think about it. They start a Patreon, they buy a bunch of fake memberships to boost the numbers, but because there are no ad reads, they can't offset the cost of all the bots. So what would be the point? There's no one to fool. And for the life of me, I cannot understand why these so-called comedy podcasters insist on having production meetings in the middle of a podcast. Tom and Bert do it as well. Guys, nobody wants to hear that shit. Have a conversation behind closed doors, make a decision, and then announce it. Talking us through the pros and cons of a business decision is fucking boring. Not only that, Brendan's in for a rude shock if they ever do start a Patreon. Does he really think a bunch of homeless cats won't sign up to troll him for the low price of $3 per month? And no ad reads too? I smell a bargain here, guys. Brendan, you should definitely do that. I can't wait. Sign me up. Incidentally, check out the link below in the description to my Patreon if you want to see my uncensored exclusive content. I'm currently working on a video covering the Disaster Kill Tony show in London that Tony Hinchcliffe and Brian Redband have been hiding from us. So check that out if you're interested, and don't forget to subscribe to my other channels right here on YouTube as well. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.